So before I get started today, it's a windy day, so I'll try to keep my back to the wind. That way the mic here on my lapel, that's called a lapel mic, doesn't get all the wind noise. But if you do get wind noise, please don't get frustrated. I do try to keep the wind out of it. See, here it comes. And I do have a windsock on it, and it helps. It really does. When I take the windsock off, it really is a big difference. So today I got to catch up on filling up the water tank. I don't know if you can see that right there. It's about half empty. It's been a few days since I've been able to fill it. We got another gully washer, I don't know, several days ago. So I had to let all that dry up, and then I had to flush out the well again. It really isn't a big deal. It's kind of a pain having to flush out the well and wait for it, but it's not even an inconvenience. This time we didn't even try to conserve water other than using dirty well water to flush the toilet. We didn't even try to conserve water. So I fill up the laundry sinks for Carolyn so she can do laundry. The other day I got a comment from somebody said that I made a video about the president saying that there's going to be a worldwide food shortage, and that I was suggesting that now is the time. You got to do it now. We have to have everything in place. You got to have your chickens, you got to have your chicken feed, you got to have your chicken run. Well, this one lady says that she can't do it, and she didn't give a reason why, but she said that she's going to the food banks, and she went to the food bank and it was low on food. So she doesn't really know what she's going to do. She can't get food from the food bank, which got me and Carolyn to thinking maybe we ought to go up there and check our food bank. We actually have one pretty close by. It's kind of amazing how close it is out here in the middle of nowhere. We took a bunch of food up there. As you know, Carolyn and I started a carnivorous diet, so again, wind noise. So we had all this pasta and rice laying around that we thought, well, if we ever get into an emergency, we'll have it just in case. But it's more than we'll ever eat. So we have rice and sugar and flour, and we vacuum sealed it all. Now, you don't have to vacuum seal rice. We do, because we leave it outside. So we put it in a little brown paper bag and then we vacuum seal it. That's 1 quart of rice right there. Now, occasionally we'll have rice, maybe once a month, but not very often. So this is our bucket of pasta. And then we got a bunch of pasta in the house. So we took a bucket of this up there, gave that to them. But it's true, they didn't have any food up there. So it really got me to thinking, it's already happening. The places that are supposed to be able to help in times of need can't help in times of need. As more and more Americans are unable to buy groceries, that also means more and more Americans can't donate to the food pantry. Carolyn and I thought we would have an excess of chicken eggs. We thought we could take chicken eggs up there, but we're eating all the chicken eggs. We're eating everything that we're producing. Maybe once we get these other 4 chickens up and laying eggs, they'll provide enough eggs that we can get some up to the pantry. So it really got me to thinking, how well are we doing? What do we need to do? Temperature's starting to warm up, so we're going to start canning probably next month. We'll go to the Save-A-Lot and get those 10 pounds of bags of chicken like we did last year, and we'll start canning the chicken up again. And hamburger and just whatever we can find that's real cheap, we'll start canning with it. So this is our canned chicken. I've showed you this many times before. I've got playlists on my channel of canned foods. We can pork and chicken and hamburger, bacon. So you can even find that bacon pretty cheap, like a 20-pound box of bacon for, I don't know, maybe 20 bucks. Maybe it's a 10-pound box. I don't remember, but it's a huge box of bacon. And it's just bacon scraps is what it is. You can cook it for breakfast, but canning it, you preserve it forever. You can see here Carolyn's got all the plants out, getting some sunlight. I told you the other day that it froze. It wasn't supposed to get below 35 degrees and ended up going down to 25 degrees. So all the green beans she had in the greenhouse died. So she's got those replanted. She just replanted those today. And she says no big deal. There's plenty of time to get those to regrow. And she figured it was a lesson learned. So, lesson learned. She didn't lose a big, massive amount like it would have been the tomatoes. That would have been pretty devastating. Now we have, I counted 16 trays of chicken left. So 16 times 12, whatever that is. I mean, that's still over, that's almost what, 200 jars of food. That's 200 meals for me and Carolyn. One jar is a meal for Carolyn and I. And that's pretty much all we've been eating is meat. I told you we're on a carnivorous diet. So that poses the question, well, what about the garden? You're growing a garden, but you're on a carnivorous diet. And I've tried to explain this before, but I don't think folks are understanding. The carnivorous diet, you eat less poundage of food. You feel fuller longer because you're not packing yourself full of sugars, carbohydrates. But the other day I was telling you how Carolyn made a meat spaghetti. It has no spaghetti noodles in it. It's just spaghetti and her tomatoes. And tomato sauce, spaghetti sauce. The wind knocked down the cover to my water tank here. So everybody said, well, you should get spaghetti squash. Haven't you ever eaten spaghetti squash? Couldn't do it with one hand. I had to set the camera down. Well, of course I've had spaghetti squash. Who hasn't had spaghetti squash? Especially if you grew up with my grandparents. So no, I've had spaghetti squash, but it's defeating the purpose of what I'm trying to say. We're eating a carnivorous diet because I believe it's healthier. The doctor that I've been listening to on YouTube says if you just can't get away from having vegetables, have green beans. Green beans are the best vegetable to eat, and I love green beans. So that's what we're doing. Tomatoes, so we can make a spaghetti saucy thing. That's our fruit. That'll give us the vitamin C that the meats don't really give us. And the green beans. There's lettuce. I like salads, but like a chicken salad is what I'll have. But it's very minimal amount of vegetables. I want to keep my diet about 80% meat. Whereas if you're using vegetables or pasta for your spaghetti, for example, 80% of your food is carbohydrates. Spaghetti squash isn't carbohydrates. There's actually not very many carbohydrates in that. But it's not meat. 80% of your food is vegetable, which is defeating the purpose. So I don't think I'm getting my point across. Eating meat makes you less hungry. As a matter of fact, this doctor I've been listening to on YouTube says it's hard to overeat when you're eating just meat. And I got to thinking about that. I don't ever remember saying, oh, I just can't get enough of this and I just keep packing my face full of meat. You get to a point and you're saying, oh, it's good. Whereas with spaghetti noodles, you'll go in and you'll say, I can eat a little more because it was so good, and you'll end up overeating. You feel miserable, you get bloated, get indigestion. Now I'm in my 50s. I notice this acid reflux a lot, so I take a little teaspoon of baking soda to knock that loose, which has other medicinal purposes also. But now I'm eating meat, rarely do I get this acid reflux. So I'm healthier, I'm getting less food, I'm having to eat less food. Now people will say, well, the meat is more expensive. Not if you spend cheaply. I told you the other day, Carolyn and I got 30 to 35 days worth of food, maybe even 40 days worth of food. All meat, basically all meat, for $150. You go in there, you go to the sale item. At Save A Lot, they have this whole aisle of nothing but sale meats. And they're, probably getting close to the expiration date. You get them home, you get it frozen, you get it canned, whatever the case is, and it's good forever. Well, for as long as you can in the freezer. But in canning, it'll last a very long time. They say a year is about all it lasts, but it'll last a lot longer than that. I mean, we've got food here that's probably getting close to a year old. There's nothing wrong with it. As the food shortages get worse and worse and worse, I'm suggesting trying to figure out how to eat less and less and less, but still maintaining a good diet. The preppers say eat beans and rice, but you'll go through more beans and rice in a day per pound of food than you will with meat, is what I've experienced in the last few months of us just eating, an 80% diet of meat. I know the other day when Carolyn and I ate potato soup with chicken in it, 2 bowls of soup, I think it was each, and then they gave us another day's worth of food. But by 5 o'clock, I was hungry again, which is very rare when you're eating just meat. 2 patties of meat last night for our spaghetti. It's just meat with spaghetti sauce that Carolyn makes. Half a pound of meat maybe. And I was not hungry the rest of the evening. Versus the potato soup, I was hungry again. So what I'm saying is per pound of food, I could have ate that whole pot of potato soup, which was designed to last us 2 days, in one night. I could have just went back and ate and ate and ate, and you're eating all that sugar because potatoes are carbohydrates. It turns to sugar. Then you get acid indigestion because you got all that acid reflux trying to process that sugar. Just like I said the other day, Orchlands and Tractor Supply Store and all these farm stores are now at Chick Days. It's either here now or it's coming up on Chick Days. I highly suggest that you go out and you get yourself some sort of chicken run, chicken coop. I know a lot of people will find these old trampolines and they'll wrap fence around the base of it, and that's a chicken run or chicken coop. And I actually had thought about doing it, but we use that tent. I showed you that tent all the time, those little patio tents or tents that you can use for flea markets or yard sales. You see them at camping trips. You get one of those tents, you can put fence around it, same thing. Got yourself a chicken run. Find yourself some sort of coop, dog house, something that you can let the chickens get into at night. Get them up on a roost. We use grapevines inside of our chicken coop. I cut down grapevines out of the woods and I ran it across, and they sit on those grapevines. That was a free thing that I could use so they could have a roost. So get your chickens now. Now, if you can't have chickens, I hear this a lot, can't have chickens. I mean, I just got this the other day. Oh, we can't have chickens because they're afraid you have a rooster. Then get ducks. I've said this in the past, that duck eggs have more B12 in it, and a lot of women who have had babies struggle with an excess amount of B12. But with duck eggs, I don't know, maybe eat one egg instead of 2 eggs. I don't know. Give it a try. But at least ducks are starting to provide you with some food, some nourishment. And it's not like it makes you real sick. It just gives you stomach wheeziness, I guess. So if you could check out this other channel, I'd really appreciate it with this Up Next box. So I hope I can inspire you to start thinking about your future today so you can live your dream. Thanks for watching.